fruit of the Spirit. We're going to go to Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. We're going to read through them again one more time. Anybody remember while we're turning there what fruit we were on last week? Huh? That's correct. Meekness. Well, you should have, because it would have been all right. Yep, we did meekness last week. Without looking, does anyone know what's next? Not you, Mom. You asked earlier. Blake is trying to think. We've done patience. Self-control, also known as temperance. That is. Galatians chapter 5, go into verse 22. It says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control," or temperance. "Against such things there is no law." So do you know what that means? We are on our last fruit of the fruit of the Spirit this week. We are on temperance. So temperance is also known as self-control. When we think about temperance and we think about self-control, what are some things that we commonly think about? Food. Food, you have a choice. True. I mean, you're not wrong. What else? Think of anything else? Not, it doesn't have to be like biblical or anything like that, but just in general. Moderation. What? Yeah, you already said food. Your words.
Moderation.
Yeah, I think when we talk about self-control, it's funny because when we start talking about self-control, in the world that we live in, I think like everybody immediately goes to food because like that's the one thing you talk about. It's like, well, you need to control how much you eat. You need to have self-control. And it's like, but it's true. It's like, that is a big thing that we deal with, and you think about it, it's the one thing that everybody can definitely relate to because we all eat, and most of us all like to eat. Amen? So when we start talking about temperance, when we start talking about self-control, I think it's one of the things that we should put a lot of focus on because also, like you talk about moderation, but self-control also has in the way of like the way that we control our actions, and like it takes self-control to put down your phone in order to pick up your Bible. It takes self-control to turn off the TV to go to bed instead of staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Or it takes self-control to do things. It takes self-control not to speed. It takes self-control not, you know what I mean? Like it's just, there's so many things that our whole life revolves around the way that we control ourselves. Our behaviors, right? So it's interesting, though, because self-control is one of the fruits of the Spirit. And we're going to just call it self-control to make it easier, but it's temperance, but is one of the fruits of the Spirit. But it's funny because we live in a world that is all about excess. It's like, how much can I have, or how much more can I have, right? Like, oh, if I... the classic, I like to get on to Colton all the time when she was here. Oh, I gotta work this overtime. I'm like, what for? I'm like, your bills are paid. You got this, and I give them a hard time all the time, but it's just like, oh, well, if I work overtime, I can have this, and I can do that, or what, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but we live in a world where we're always like, well, if I do this, I can have more. And sometimes having more is not always better, right? Now, obviously, I'm not going to say, hey, if you work overtime and you have, and you make more money, you're going to hell or you're bad or whatever. No, but what I am saying, though, is like we do the exact same thing with everything we have, or we will put the excess in those things ahead of our relationship with God, and that's when it becomes a problem. So have to have self-control to tell ourselves, no, I don't need that, or no, I don't need to do those things, and put ourselves not into a place where we look like the world. Self-control is one of those things where I think if you find someone who is disciplined, who has self-control, you find somebody who does not look anything like the world. Because the world is spinning out of control because everybody is just, I get what I want, when I want it, how I want it, and how much I want, right? And so I think it's really important that we have self-control and that we have discipline in our life. And I think like having that helps us to have balance, right? And I think that's the thing is once we get ourselves out of balance, it's really hard to get yourself back onto the beam and get yourself going straight, right? So temperance, right? So temperance or self-control in a biblical sense, right? I wrote this definition. I thought it was cool. It said, is the ability to exercise control over one's desires, emotions, and actions. And that's both physical, emotional, right? Spiritual, right? Like for us is to have full control basically over our body, over our mind, and over our spirit in what we do, right? And I like what it says. It says to exercise control, right? Because it's something that we physically have to say, I am going to do this. Paul himself said it very perfectly when he says, I die daily. Like he had to put himself beside himself and put God first in everything. And that is not always easy to do because our natural sense is to do what feels good or what we want to do and how we want to do it, right? From a biblical stance, though, like from a biblical perspective or a spiritual perspective, like why is that so important for us to be spiritually in control and disciplined? Represents Jesus. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
No matter what emotion is going on, he's always control of the situation. If people are angry, he's not loud and obnoxious and screaming back at them. If people are excited and ready to go to the next step, calm down. Like we have to do what the Lord directs us to do. If people are freaking out and worried, he's calm. He's, it really is like a unicorn to see people like that now, but maybe there wasn't people like that more often back then. But, it is like a unicorn to see somebody like that, but then even aside of like the emotional part, like a spiritual part, much like tithing, fasting is a command. I mean, it's not a if you want to, it's like you should do this. This is good for you. But if you don't have any self-control in your life, you will never successfully, well, A, tithe if you don't have good self-control of your finances, and B, you won't fast the way Christ would, expect us to fast. Because anything, like even if it's not food, even if you do a non-biblical fast of I'm not going to do social media or TV, or if you don't have that self-control that says I just can't not open that app, so yeah, I'm definitely representing Christ because he was controlling everything.
I think one of the greatest examples that Christ set on the emotion part of it is whenever they came to retrieve him that night, and Peter jumped up with a sword and cut the guy's ear off, and I can see Jesus just nonchalantly now, just reaching down and picking it up, like, oh, here, let's put this back on for you,
Yeah.
You know, there was not a
Not getting
all
stirred.
that. It's like, you know, and then he looked at Peter and he says, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You know, so in other words, he's like, hey, look, there's more. You got self-control here, buddy. You know, let's.
He doesn't even chastise him. He's just calm about it.
Yeah, you know. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think like that's the thing.
Jesus obviously set the perfect example. We want to be like him, but I also think that when we do have self-control, right, we do represent Christ. But not only when we don't have self-control do we not represent Christ, but we begin to spin ourselves down a spiral that's so hard to come out of, right? You know, like you watch these shows like 700-Pound Life or whatever it's called. And not to be like hateful to them or anything like that, but it's like when they are working to come out of what they have spun themselves out of, that self-control, it takes work and it takes time and it takes a ton of effort to come out of that and to get to where they get in the end, right? And it's like if we keep ourselves with self-control, yes, it's work, but when we spin ourselves out of that self-control, sometimes it takes us a long time. Now, with Christ, obviously, he can change us and whatnot, but the behavior that we have to deal with for the remainder of our life sometimes just continues to be work each and every day, and it's really hard, and it causes.
Side, we don't know what that trial or tribulation or whatever it was there, but you know, he had to have dedication and self-control to maintain where he needed to be and not go that direction or whatever it was, you know. So
Yeah, and I think like sometimes we think
It hurts others or hurts the way people look at us, but mostly it hurts us, right? And it really begins to break us down, and it really, causes that trial for us, right? Let's turn to Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. That heater is working tonight. Hot. Take a jacket. No. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. It says, like a city that is broken down and without walls is a man who has no self-control over his spirit. I actually have the amplified version here. I'm going to read it because I think it's kind of, I like it. Like a city that is broken down and without walls, leaving it unprotected, is a man who has no self-control over his spirit and sets himself up for trouble. Like, I like when it adds in there, leaving itself unprotected, right? So it's like a city that's broken down and it doesn't have any walls. Like when we have no self-control, we leave ourselves unprotected from the things that the enemy is coming against us with, and we leave ourselves into a vulnerable place and a place that we are set up for trouble when we have no self-control, right? The same way that a lack of self-control in the physical sense leads people down a road of alcoholism and drugs and all sorts of other addictions and all sorts of other problems that we have in our life, is the same way that in the spiritual sense, that when we don't have any self-control over who we are, leaves us vulnerable to the attacks of the enemy and leaves us in a place where we can quickly lose control of our spiritual walk with God and leave ourselves vulnerable to all sorts of attacks and things of that nature.
As a testimony for me, with not being able to control myself, controlling my anger, it was very, and my wife will attest to this, but it was very common for me to use words to hurt, and I mean, that's just where it was. And you talk about the enemy being able to have a foothold on how you hold your self-control. I mean, it was nothing for her to make me mad. I'm stabbing. I'm using big words that, you know what I'm saying, that I want to hurt. And I can't undo that. I can't take those things back. The only thing I can do is continue to move forward and show progress. But yeah, that self-control of not using, life and death and the power of the tongue, I wasn't to that extreme with it, but I was definitely in there to hurt emotionally. And that's a big one for me. I'm glad I left that behind.
Yeah. When we lose control.
Of who we are, 9 times out of 10, the main people that are going to get hurt are the people that we love and care about, right? Because we know the things to say that are gonna make people hurt. We know the things that and that's what the thing is. It's like when you lose self-control, right, and then you get in that moment, you think, well, I didn't mean to say that, and it's like, yeah, like looking back on it, you didn't, but you lost control of who you were, and you said exactly what you wanted to say in that, right? And it's like that's where it's so important for us to step back and say, okay, I need to know who I am, and I need to essentially practice on who I'm going to be, and it's also it's not like you can just say, hey, yeah, I just want to be better, and tomorrow you're better. You have to put it in practice each and every day. Like, you can't just be like, oh, well, I hope everything is better today, right? Like, I can't wake up tomorrow and be like, I hope I don't like chocolate cake. Like, no, I can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm not going to eat chocolate cake, right? And I have to put myself in that. But it's like, we always expect for the easy way out, and it takes a while, right? Like, it takes time to say, okay, yeah, I'm getting frustrated, but I'm not going to go down that road and be that person anymore. I'm not going to say those things, right? Um, yeah, for sure. Speaking of, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 25. Good segue there. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 25 through 27. Don't make me yawn. Listen, it's not that boring. All right, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, we're going to start with verse 25, and it says, now every athlete who competes in the games is disciplined and exercises self-control in all things. They do it to win a crown that withers, but we do it to receive an imperishable crown. Therefore, I do not run without a definite goal. I do not flail around like one beating the air. But I strictly discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached the gospel to others, I myself will not somehow be disqualified. And I thought this was such a good fitting verse here, because Paul here is talking about how we do things in life for a race, right? So he says now every athlete, talking about athletes, competes in a game to win a prize, right? And they train and they put themselves in discipline. And I like what he says there. He says, I do not run with a definite goal. In 27, he says, but I strictly discipline my body and make it a slave, so that after I have preached, I will not find myself disqualified, right? And what he is saying is, I put my body into a place of subjection that it is, essentially, our body is our slave, in a sense of saying, my body has to do what I tell it to do, when I tell it to do it, so that way I can get the result that I want. And that's the way that we have to be with our walk with God, is say, I am putting my body in subjection. I'm putting my mind in subjection. It is going to do what I want it to do, when I want it to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think it's so important that, like, when we're talking about this, the same way that you watch the Olympics, you'll see these people that will train and train. It's crazy. Think about Usain Bolt. He trains, or did. Him obviously he's retired. He was the fastest man on earth. He still holds the record for the 100-meter dash. He trained all year long to run less than 10 seconds one time. And actually he trained 4 years long, because the Olympics is only every 4 years. So he trained for 4 years to get himself to be the fastest person to run a race that is less than 10 seconds long. And like, when you really think about it, it's like, if I told you to train really hard for 4 years, where no one's probably going to know anything about you, nobody's going to talk about you, because the Olympics aren't for another 4 years. It's like, the other time, other than the Olympics, you don't hear about any of these athletes. athletes. Like, after the Olympics are over, you don't see someone like, hey, did y'all see what Simone Biles did the other day on the balance beam? No, because we don't watch these things or whatnot. I mean, she might be on Facebook or TikTok or whatever. What? Michael Phelps, yeah. I mean, you know, you think about all these people. They're famous for a little bit, right? And then they're off and you don't see them. But if I told you were going to do that and you were going to train your whole life and then someone's going to look at you for 10 seconds and be like, wow. And then they're never going to think about you ever again. You'd be like, well, that just does not seem very appealing, right? But it's like, this is what these athletes do because they're training for a specific reason, for a specific goal. Well, the same thing is we have to train ourselves spiritually to reach the goal that we want to reach. And it is an everyday, every moment of our life kind of thing. And if we're not putting ourselves into subjection, if we're not having that self-control, we aren't going to get to the place that we want to be, right?
And I know many people might know it, but there's a kid named Rudy that went to play for Notre Dame. And he didn't start out playing, and he went to school there, and he became the practice squad. You know, they used him as a battering ramp, and he did that his whole school career just to play one play at the end of his time of being in the football field, you know? So, you know, all that dedication and stuff that he put towards just that one, he didn't care if he ever got put in the game, but they all put him in the last play of his season, you know? And for all that he did, for just that one moment, you know, nobody knew about him, nobody, wasn't no, you know, like you said, Earl Campbell or Derek, whoever he is, or whatever, all these fancy names, you know, Mahomes or anybody like that. He was just a common guy, but he had a determination that he wanted to do that one thing. And I think if we would take the dedication that we put towards doing these physical things into our spiritual life, how much more we could see a move of God, you know, like we should see it.
No, I completely agree. And I think it was just interesting that this topic was the last one on here. And then also like this whole like thought of being intentional with our sermons and stuff was just like so fitting because like, you know, it's like for you to be spiritually disciplined or for you to be physically disciplined and have self-control is like you have to be intentional about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just, you know, someone's not just going to wake up and accidentally start a diet. No one's going to wake up and just accidentally run a marathon. No one's going to wake up and just accidentally. Yeah, well, exactly. That's why you haven't accidentally run one yet. You know, but but here's the other thing. You're not just going to wake up one day and accidentally end up in heaven. You're either going to intentionally end up in heaven or you're going to intentionally end up in hell, right? And it's like the same thing is that's why it's so important is like with self-control it is all about us controlling ourselves and putting ourselves into subjection so that we can win the prize that we want to win. And that prize ultimately is eternal life with Christ, and not just eternal life for ourselves, but eternal life for others as well to see us, right? So like temperance is important, self-control is important because it causes us to grow spiritually, right? You can write this down if you want, but 2 Peter 1, 5, and 7, we're a little bit behind, so I'm not going to turn there yet. But it just talks about how we have to have self-control and how we have to have the knowledge and how we have to have a goodness, knowledge, self-control, all these things. It goes hand in hand with you can't say, oh, well, I read my Bible and I do this and I do that, but you just lose control of all of who you are and say, like, I'm growing spiritually. Like, it requires us to take control of who we are. So it's not just a sign of like our maturity, but it is also a sign of our growth. And without it, we can't grow. Just like the word says is like when I was a babe, I had the milk, but eventually you got to have the meat. Or, you know, you can only grow so far with having everybody else feed you and doing what you want. And then there comes a time where you have to say, okay, I'm a big boy or I'm a big girl, and it's time for me to get up and I got to do this for myself. You know, I often think of like wild animals and stuff. You get a wild animal and you take it to a rehabilitation place and they start feeding it, and they start taking care of it, and they start doing all this other stuff, and that animal never learns or decides, okay, I now need to do all of this stuff for myself. Those animals can't go back out into the wild, because if they did, they would just die, right? Well, they don't understand how to control themselves in the wild, right? They don't understand how to put themselves there. It's the same thing. If we are taught and we are shown, like, and it's obviously you can't just like, all right, well, here's how you kill a deer with your teeth. So we rehabilitated this coyote, and I got to take one for the team. That deer's about to get it. Let me show you how to do this, right? You can't teach a wild animal that. But in life, though, we are taught and we learn from the Bible and we learn from others how we are supposed to live our life. But then it comes a time where it's up to us to say, it is my turn. I have to step up and I have to be this, right? Anyway, listen, y'all get the examples that I get. Yeah, I am thinking about it. Never mind. It is also important for us as a witness, right? So let's go to Titus chapter 11, verse 12. Oh, not 11. Chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. Hey, if you find Titus chapter 11, I have a lot of questions for you. I'm glad y'all found it before Deanna did. Chastise me. Oh. Oh no. Why? I was about to say I hate these tiny little books because I always roll right past them, but I don't hate them. I just wish they were bigger. Dang. Yeah. I need to see you after church. Let's go to the gym. All right. Titus chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age. Right? So that's a little bit different version, but also. But yes, essentially, it teaches us, I like what it says, it teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, right? And live self-control, right? So, like, we can't be an effective witness for other people if we are not having self-control over who we are, right? You're not going to end up in a random bar on a Saturday night, plastered, witnessing to somebody like, you know what, let me tell you something, right? Like, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. And it wouldn't make sense also if you're standing out in the middle of the street. You know, we're just talking about being angry and yelling and saying hurtful things, right? Well, you're not going to be in that moment and then 2 moments later like, hey, let me tell you about the love of Christ. It wouldn't make no sense, right? Like, we can't go from one extreme to the next, because then it's like, you know, whatever. And I'm not saying you can't make mistakes and then a moment later God used that as a witness for somebody or whatnot, but when we are living uncontrolled in our life, it is really hard for us to be a real witness to somebody. I'm not just talking about talking to somebody. I'm not just talking about like standing out there and telling somebody about that, because there's plenty of people who do that, right? We'll put on a mask and we go out and we tell people and we act like we've got it all under control. But when people really see us and we want to be a real witness for Christ, it's about who we are and about what we are doing, not always about what we are saying, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody sees me never say no to anything that I want and never whatever, like, one of the two things is gonna, yeah. But one of the two things is gonna happen. Either A, they're going to realize like, well, you're no different than I am, or B, they're going to think, oh, well, I can be a Christian and I can still do all the things I want. Either way, I'm not being a good witness for Christ. As a witness for Christ, I need to say, hey, like, sure, I had to give up these things and I had to give up who I was, and these are the things that I would do, and these are the things that I choose not to do. But also, at the same time, God is good, and look at all the stuff that he's done in my life, and look where he's brought me out of, look where he's brought me to, right? Like, it's important for us to understand, like, for us to be a good witness, we also have to have self-control, you know? And it's especially important, I think, of, like, for you guys that, like, work in front of people. What's that like? Yeah. Earlier I had a meeting and everyone started turning their camera on. I had to turn around and grab my shirt because I was folding laundry and it was hot and I was just like, oh, and so I was like, I had to put my shirt back on because everybody turned their cameras on except for me, and I was like, daggum. Yeah. I always want to, if someone's dressed really nice for like an interview, I always am like, stand up, let me see what kind of shorts you got on. Anyway, I mean, that's actually probably true. Yeah. But anyway, for you guys that like work in front of people though, right? It'd be like if you were sitting in the break room, you get an opportunity to witness to somebody, and you're just like, hey, let me tell you about the love of Christ. Let me tell you about this. You should come to my church. You should do this because God is good and he can do all these things for you. And then you walk out of that room, and 10 minutes later, you're like, bleepity bleep this, and then bleepity bleep that, and throwing your tools across the room, and yeah. And then Blake's in there yelling at kids because you know what I mean? But it's true. If you did that, then you lost the whole witnessing that you gave to them because they're like, whoa, is that what it's really all about? Because I'll be honest, I don't really want to be about that, right? Huh?
Yeah, it's exactly what the world looks like, right? And so it's
important for us. Now, obviously, we're going to make mistakes, and I think it's important. Part of self-control is owning up to our mistakes, right? Like, you know, you get out there and you do all that, and the first thing you do is you smack your hand with a hammer, and something ungodly comes out of your mouth. You'd be like, might have lost my cool there for a minute. You know what I mean? But it's important to tell you, like, hey, listen, I'm still human. I still make mistakes, and God's still working on me or whatever. But there's a difference in living in it uncontrolled and us making mistakes and falling short of the glory of God. And
Hammer, if you just scream as loud as you can't say any words. So.
I can. When I hurt myself, I can.
Quiet. And I contemplate everything I've done in the last 10 to 15 minutes, like. Yeah, I just. Yeah. So if you hear a loud noise and me real quiet, just know I'm hurt. I'll be okay in 5 to 10. Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, it's just important, like, for us to be a witness. And I think, honestly, it's probably the most important reason for us, besides our walk with God. The next most important reason is our witness, because the last thing that we want to do is to portray this walk with God and then not walk it and lead people away from a walk with God, right? Like, our job is to lead people to it, not to push people away from it. So, how do we have temperance? How do we have self-control? Thoughts? Pray about it and work on it.
Lots of conversation with the Lord.
You have to set a goal for it. You know, that's like I've made it a pretty strong influence in my own life to not speed, like within the past month or so. Like I've made it a point to, I'm going to go the speed limit regardless of whatever, you know. That's just one of my things, you know what I'm saying? Like I've done super well. I'll pull over. If I see somebody flying up on me before they get a chance to get to me, I'll pull over and I'm like, you can just go on about your day because I'm not fixing to let it get me mad. You know, and I just that's what I've been trying to do, and it's getting easier and easier to do it, you know, with the repetition of it. Now, this one here, this is not a bad session to her. Like, so
It's not an uplifting one either.
she didn't have faith in me last night, okay, and I'm still kind of hurt about it.
I didn't even make no eyes when you made no
Bring her before the church.
My feelings are hurt.
Never mind, Deanna. I need to see y'all after church.
First of all, I didn't even.
Wait
I did not even sigh when you
What
made
did
that
you
comment. You better be very careful what you say.
Go ahead.
So
Dan.
let me set the situation,
This
the
is the
scenario
safe
for you.
place.
So I generally have a tremendous amount of road rage. And last night was a test, and I passed, but she didn't think I was about to.
Nice.
So we're driving along, and I pull in, and I try to pull out of somewhere, and of course there's traffic, and I pull out, and I pull to the double yellow, and there's a spot that goes into a turning lane. There's a car in the opposite turning lane. This Jeep honks at me. I instantly wanted to be set off, but I didn't. I didn't. I pulled up, and I kept myself. So I rolled down my window because I was waiting on it. And she's like, "Can you roll your window up? We don't need to do this." And I was just, and I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I was just going to say, "What do you want me to do? Let's have a civil conversation about it. Why would you honk your horn and then I might get mad, you know what I mean?" Up to that point, I was kind of like, I'm doing what I need to do, and you're honking your horn at me.
So this is a good moment though,
Moral story.
where sometimes to have self-control, you need accountability. And she knew that if you actually had that conversation, we might have lost our self-control. So see, it's
Throw
just
it in.
teamwork makes the dream work, right?
But yeah,
Prepared though to not get in an argument, but to state my case.
So slightly ready and prepared.
I wasn't unprepared.
Listen, I wasn't there to fight, but I wasn't there to lose either. Hey, we're working.
right? Practicing it, right? So we're getting there. Yeah. So, and that's a good point though, right? Is the world is going to try to drag you back down there, but sometimes you need people around you. So, anyway, some ways that we can cultivate, or some ways that we can bring temperance to our life. I think first and foremost, and the most important one, is we don't roll your window down. Surrender ourselves to the Holy Spirit, right? Surrender ourselves to God, because if we do not, we're not even on the right path of trying to start self-control. We're just trying to start a habit, and we're going to lose that bad boy as soon as someone honks at us. So let's go to yeah, let's go to Galatians. We're going to go back to Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. Galatians 5:16. Someone's got to. Just kidding. I mean, hey, yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, to be honest,
To go.
The situation could have went worse, right?
I did a little thing where where I try not to speed and whatnot, and driving just the speed limit can be hard when you're used to going 5, 10, 20 over the speed limit all the time, Dad. But I have found that when I do that, I'm on the road, someone's like riding my tail and all that, I'm just like, I actually don't care. Like, hope you have a better day. I'm just like beat bopping down the road, you know. Colton, you scare me when you drive. That's right. That's right. He said, I ain't died. You don't go with traffic. You go past the traffic.
You're the pace car for the traffic. I'm with you, Pastor. All right. With you on that.
Everybody keep up.
Good way to look at it.
See how we're slowly losing control tonight? Galatians chapter 5, verse 16.
It says this, making the very most of your time. Galatians, I was in Galatians and I flipped over and it went to chapter 5, but it was Ephesians. I was like, that is not the right verse. Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. It says, but I say walk habitually in the Holy Spirit, and then you will certainly not carry out the desires of the sinful nature. So what it's telling us there, though, is that if we surrender ourselves to the Holy Spirit, we will not glorify the flesh or the desires of the flesh, right? So if we want to have self-control, the first thing we have to do is say, I need to control myself. I surrender myself to the Holy Spirit. I surrender myself to God. I am going to do what your word says. I'm going to do what you tell me to do, and that's all I'm going to do. And if I do that, then I'm not going to satisfy the desire of my heart. I'm not going to roll the window down. I'm not going to beat that guy. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to eat the things. I'm not going to do the things, right? I'm not going to be the person that I feel like being, but I'm going to be the person that I know I need to be. And I think that's really a lot of it. When we surrender ourselves to the Holy Spirit, it's not about who we feel like we should be in the moment. It's who we know we need to be in the moment, and that's a child of God, and that's somebody who has the self-control to put ourselves back into submission, right? Another way that we can have that self-control or that temperance is going to be by prayer and accountability, right? Let's go to Matthew 26:41. Just a couple verses here for you guys. I always love a good Daniel story, to be honest. I know. Well, just the way you tell them too. It's like you're there, you know. Matthew 26:41. Matthew chapter 26 with verse 41. It says, "Keep actively watching and praying that you may not come into the temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Listen, our bodies, our minds, our whatever you want to call these things we're walking around in, are not strong enough to keep ourselves under control all the time, 100% of the time on our own, right? That's why we have to, it says, I like what it says, keep actively watching and praying that you may not come into temptation, right? Like, if we are actively praying to God, if we are actively talking with the Lord, if we are actively keeping ourselves in watching, right? Like keeping an eye out for those things, we are actively focusing on those things, so we're not actively focusing on the things that we want or the things that we desire so much, right? And that's the problem, is sometimes what ends up putting us out of our control is focusing on the things that we want and that we desire instead of focusing on the things that we need to focus on, right? It's like if you say, I just need a nap. You are going to make yourself so tired about focusing on the fact that you need a nap and that you hadn't got a nap. You could have got 9 hours of sleep last night, but you're so focused that you need a nap in the middle of the day that you put yourself into a place of being tired, where it's like, if we just focused on, getting stuff done with the day, we could probably have a nap. But we're so focused, you know what I mean? We will put ourselves into that place. And so it's important for us that if we are actively focused on, I need to pray, I need to keep an eye out to keep myself under control, I need to keep myself in the Word, then we actively are putting ourselves into a place where we can have all the energy and all the thoughts and all the things that we need, but we have to focus on it. And I think that's a hard thing in the world today because people don't have no focus no more. We can't focus on nothing, unless we like it and we want to. But, I think we've gotten in the world where, TikTok, you saw TikTok the other day was banned for just 5 minutes on Sunday morning. I swear to you, I've seen more people freaking out about the loss of TikTok and how sad they were about it and all. I said, first off, guys, you ever heard of Instagram Reels? I was like, there are 1,400 replacements for TikTok. And I'm like, but at the same time, y'all don't need any of that. But when you have something that it's got that much hold on you, that you have to post about it and that you're so upset about it, you should realize that maybe there's a problem. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times I've gone through and deleted TikTok, or I don't even have TikTok on my phone now, but I can't tell you how many times I'll be on it and I'm like, I'm on this way too much, and I go to delete it, and then I'll be sitting there doing absolutely nothing, and the first thing I'll do is I'll pick my phone up and slide over to where TikTok was, because I was like, I have 30 seconds of nothingness, so I'm going to watch TikTok. It's like you realize how quick that gets it, because that's where your focus is at. That's where your attention goes. We need to put all the distractions down. We need to put all the things away, and we say, God, I want to focus, and I want to pray, and I want to be accountable to you. If we do that, that is a good step in the right direction of self-control. And it's kind of the same thing, with a diet. I can't just I'm not going to access. I've got to focus on it. focus on the celery. Maybe you don't focus on the nasty, right? But you focus on the goal, right? But you gotta stay with it. And then the last verse here is, let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. First Timothy. Me and this Bible are not getting along tonight. No. Also, never mind. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7 and 8, yeah. Something like that. I mean, it's funny, as I think about this, I think about like when someone gets arrested and they're like, you have the right to remain silent, and then they just start telling the whole world, and they like, your words end up getting you more, yeah, it will end up being like the main thing that gets you charged, you know what I mean? Like, they're telling you got the right to remain silent. You're just not willing to practice it, you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes in our walk with God, sometimes we just need to use the right to remain silent. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7 and 8, it says, but have nothing to do with irreverent folklore and silly myths. On the other hand, discipline yourself for the purpose of godliness. For physical training is of some value, but godliness is of value in everything and in every way, since it holds promise for the present life and for the life to come. Right? Is that right? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was like, okay. But essentially, right, what he's saying here is like, it's talking about physical training, all this stuff. Like, remember that one of the biggest things that we're going to do when it comes to self-control is practice, 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 right? Train yourself in the way, right? Like the same way the Bible says to train up a kid in the way of the Lord, and when they're older, they will not turn, right? Like the same way, we have to train ourselves to be self-controlled. We have to practice in the same way, right? Where we put it into practice. When you're in a moment, you want to do that, and then you're like, and you roll the window back up, and you're like, hey, I did good there, right? Now I know the next time what I need to do, and I can put myself, in a good place, right? But it's not going to just be an overnight thing, and it's not going to be something that we just do, like I said earlier, by accident, right? We have to practice. We have to train ourselves and put ourselves in that place. And then what ends up happening is the same thing as like when I was training for the marathon or whatever, it's like I would go out and could easily run 5 to 6 miles without even really being out of breath, just chilling, right? Huh? Yeah. I still can. I'll be dying on the inside, but I can still do it. But it's funny because then somebody would come up to me and be like, oh, I can't believe you did. That's so many miles. Like, how can you do that? I'm like, but then that's like, to me, I'm like, well, it's really not that hard because I run all the time, right? In the same way, being self-controlled, you'll look back and say, it's really not that hard once you've done it long enough and once you've continued to do it long enough and you get in that way. It's like, when someone asks me like, well, how do you not cuss? I'm like, I just never have. It's not really been anything a part of me. So it's easy for me to be controlled and not say the words that, everyone is saying because it's not something that I have said before or done before, right? Or how do you not do that? It's like, well, if you don't do it long enough, it's easy to not have to feel like you have to do it, right? And I think that's where self-control is so important, is because it reflects who we are at all times. And so it's like when it's who we want to be whenever no one's kind of looking, what's going to happen is it's going to show eventually in front of everyone when the stage is set and when the world is watching, right? And so practice, and remember to just put God first, right? So.
Too, I know God he uses that, and he honors that. It's the same as you would ask for wisdom, or he would give that to you in abundance. The same as if he sees you trying to make a legit effort, he knows your heart. God, me personally, like, all right, God, I want to quit smoking. God, I want to quit cussing. God, I want to quit drinking. God, I want to quit, a pile of things. And it just, it just kind of just keeps falling off, you know what I mean? Just kind of, it just, you notice, and you really don't even notice it until, you know, quite a while after that, hey, I hadn't been cussing, you know what I'm saying? Or, wow, you know, I really hadn't been wanting a cigarette, or, you know, this and that. And it just, you're like, wow, you know, God really does work, you know, and it's cool.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing
With it is that desire is great, but you have to, like, then it's like when that desire hits you real hard. So I always tell people it's like dieting is easy until you get hungry. You know what I mean? And then you're like, I really don't care anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say how many times people are like, yeah, but I'm hungry. You know what I mean? And it's like, but your body's adjusting to not eating as much or whatever and stuff. And it's like, so we have to take that desire, and we have to, like, I think it's important to remember what made you desire to want to stop so bad. What are the things that happen that put you to where it's like, and you felt like if you remember those things, it's easy, like you said, to say, like, God will use that desire and he'll use that drive to push you to not want to do those things anymore, right? And I think that's where it's important. As the more you focus on God, the more you don't want to look like the world, and the more you don't want those things to be a hold on you, right? And it's easy to have that desire to say, I want to be better, right? I want to be this, so.
Says, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Christ Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in other words, that's what we do. We press towards that mark. We lay ourselves aside, and we got that focus of what we want to do. And the prize is of being with Jesus, you know. And if we just focus on that and press towards that prize, you know, run that race, you know.
Yep, absolutely.